I'm Ellen from Art Now Media. Thank you so much for coming to hear about Mila and her Mermaid Dream series. So I just wanted to give a little bit about tonight's agenda. We'll proceed as follows. I will introduce Mila. She will provide a brief overview of her work and a little bit about the genesis and history of the series. And then we'll have a brief conversation, and then we'll open it up to people in the call. Please put your comments in. Please put your comments in the chat section. Can people hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear.
You can hear me? Okay.
We can hear you, Ellen.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, perfect. Sorry. All right. Sorry about the audio problem. So Mila is an incredibly and interesting and fantastical photographer. She creates tableaus rich with imagination, color, and meaning. She is renowned internationally for fantastical portraits that feature thoughtfully utilized saturated settings that evince a high degree of kinetic energy and unmistakable expressionistic flair. She is a photographer who manufactures fantasy. Her work on the Mermaid Dream series is quite striking and intriguing. Despite the bright colors, balloons, or flowers, the messages behind these outward trappings are quite meaningful. Using her ever-present stockings, she often has subtle and not so subtle messages included in these tableaus. They're always fun. As you can imagine, these works are inspired by the classic Hans Christian Andersen tale of The Little Mermaid. To quote briefly from her bio, born in Poland, Bridger started her journey in the art at the age of 7. She took pictures on a Zenith camera given to her by her grandmother. She was always trying to capture the inner fantasy world of her mind. She went to school in Poland and in Canada. Normal school projects and teachings did not satisfy her notion of aesthetics and hunger to create her own world. She creates her own reality one image at a time. She likes to shock with these images to ignite a reaction and emotion in the viewer. She manufactures fantasy with thoughtfully stylized, saturated settings. Sorry, some of these sentences. I hope you will all agree that Bridger has a unique view of the world. The lens of her camera has taken her around the world to produce many exciting projects. Her photographs are always vivid, colorful, and a little twisted. She lives in San Marco Island, Florida, with her husband, her pool, and her beloved cats. She's been in the US since 2001. So before we get started, please note that everyone should stay muted for this call and to please ask questions in the chat function below. I appreciate everyone's courtesy so that we can have as smooth and enjoyable a process as possible. And with that being said, it's my great pleasure to introduce the artist, Mila Bridger. Mila.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
I'm stressed.
Okay, take a deep breath. This is among friends and family and everybody. So this is a wonderful time. So Mila is a little shy and we want to make her feel welcome. So Mila, maybe you could just talk a little bit about the genesis of the series.
Well, first of all, the Mermaid Dream series, as in general, it's just a visualization of what the dream would look like in reality. But there's a lot of things that got influenced into that. I did a lot of photography where I will not show my face. I also love photographing in the water. So all of this was kind of an impact to what happened and brought the Mermaid series. Also, me growing up on different fairy tales that I loved, after that taking them and manufacture them in my own way. I not only grew up on the Andersen fairy tales, I also grew up on my folk Polish fairy tales, which were horrible. They were horrific, scary. Like you can make a crazy horror movie out of them. And so I like to take them out and put them in a complete different environment and a different context. And that's how the mermaid series started. Just to go back, I want to show you my all the water series that I've done that lead to the mermaid series. And here we are. Can I share the screen?
Sure.
Oh, is it? Oh, so here we are. This is what it leads to a mermaid's dream. Here is a dreamy photo of someone having a nap in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
So why not, right? And then we had another fun water. I just love shooting in the water. And then also me not showing the face. I've got all kinds of self-portraits that I just never show my face in it. And that's kind of combined, brought the mermaid series in.
Okay. I think you have to share your screen again.
Oh, yes.
Because I would love to see those other images.
Yeah. Share it. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Share. There we go. So here we are. Those are my self-portraits where you can see my face. Here's another one. One more. And that's the latest one that I did last year. That was kind of my, I never really liked to show my face, and I still don't.
Well, okay. So I think that's very helpful. I know you don't like to show your face, but is there a reason besides just not being sort of internalization that you don't like to show your face?
I don't know. It's just, I've always want to be on the other side of the camera and photographing other people, not me. I never want to be in front of it.
Got it.
It feels so weird right now too. It's
okay. You're doing great. So do you want to talk a little bit more about a few of the mermaids? Because I think
yes. So we've got a lot of them, and this one is very happy, very popular mermaid, Arabella.
Mm-hmm.
I can share the screen again and find her. Okay, she's here. And sorry.
That's okay.
Can tell I'm Zoom illiterate. Okay. So here's Arabella. She's quite old. She's a few years old, but she seems to be the really fun one.
She's really fun. I mean, people love this image, and I love the striped stockings with the sneakers.
And that's how it started. I started with stockings, my first ever mermaid, which was the kind of the experiment, and it was just for the competition, the Camera USA. I made one, and it was white and red stockings. But then it's just evolved into a party, and we've got Arabella here. We've got a world known Paris. The traveler right there. And last year I created not this one. Last year I created Victoria yellow, which had like a global meaning, and it's not only it can be versatile. The meaning is just stop the violence, and it was a perfect for pushing it towards and speaking against the war
in Ukraine. Yes,
in Ukraine, and that actually led to creating a Chlava Ukraine mermaid, which is just like a flag. blue and yellow, and that actually was part of the well, we were trying to make an impact with that one.
Yes, and I think it's so wonderful that you know, you do have this undercurrent of activism and this desire to use the mermaids in your own way with your own voice for something good, which I really admire about you. So,
Well, it's you know, I can't write, I can't speak, I can't draw. I thought like using a medium as a photography where I can just create something that sits in my head, it's a good way to convey and say things and present and make people feel something.
Yep.
That
So,
could be,
no, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, go.
that no, I really appreciate you kind of going over a little bit. You know, I think you talked a little bit about the genesis of the idea behind this, but I'd love to know the development of sort of the technical side, because you have a very mysterious process, and I don't know if people have seen your process is very interesting, and you don't have to give up your secrets, but it is really fascinating how you come up with these really fantastic ways of, you know, hiding. And I don't know, I would encourage people to see part of the genesis of
All right.
the yellow, but I'd love to hear a little bit more. You don't have to tell the secrets, but how you developed or came, you know, what was the progression that made you say, okay, partially in the pool, partially out of the pool, the stockings, the dress. It's just very interesting to me.
So there's a lot of factors. First of all, I've always loved the fairy tales. I love to take them apart and make them my own and totally out of context, put them in a different environment, put them in a different scenarios and make them completely bizarre and surreal. And I've made a whole series of a long time ago, which I called the messed up fairy tales, fractured fairy tales. You know, Cinderella, 100 years later. Let me show the screen. Shall we show this?
Yes, show it, because I do think it does provide insight into how you created this work.
Those are just the random I picked, but there's more. So this is Cinderella 100 years later. That photo was taken 10 years ago, probably. And so she's there still trying on shoes and they never fit. It's reality, right? Like seriously, no. And so here is the Hans and Gretel. They are both high on candies. They are addicted to sugar. 100 years later, they are still there. You know, they just need to keep
show Hansel again, because I think you kind of
Hansel's having a giant
candy injection. Okay.
Yes. And then we've got this one was just rejected so many times from different competitions. This is a Red Riding Hood. You know, she never made it to grandma. And again, those were done years ago. I would say 10 years ago. And how do I stop sharing? Oh, and that was still like the influence of the folk fairy tales, like Brother Grimm's, the horror in it. But I think I kind of evolved into the more happy, still bizarre and surreal, which I really like it. At this point, I like the surreal, colorful, and more happy, but then still kind of enigmatic. What's going on?
You know, Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales aren't necessarily all happy.
They are, most of them are happy, but you should read my Polish folk fairy tales and you will never sleep for like 2 days.
Maybe later.
Horrible.
So, you know, I think one thing I wanted to spell out and ask you to spell out a little more might be about how, you know, in terms of you're showing the legs
Mhm.
of these, what the mermaids are dreaming of, right?
But
So,
that's it. Like I'm leaving it that way because this is the mermaid dream. That's the name of it, and I'm leaving it for the viewer to imagine. Like this is the dream. Like yeah, they might want to have legs. They might want to have fun. They might want to be in the real world. This is what's going to happen. They want to try new shoes, but this is it. This is how far I want to go, and I want to leave it to a viewer to interpret it the other way.
which
The
I
way.
which I really think is, you know, part of the like head dunking in the water. You know, these are mermaids who can breathe underwater, supposedly.
Yeah,
So
they're
it doesn't
versatile.
matter that, so it kind of combines the idea of not showing your face so that you're like every female mermaid's, you know, you could be any of the mermaids, basically.
And it's not about legs, you know, they never had one. So
Right. So they're
there's a
fascinating.
highlight.
Yep.
But also let me tell you the process, which I'm not gonna tell all about it.
Yes.
But
Keep some
it's,
secrets, but
it's
tell a little.
happening in my pool, and this is my pool right here. And so this is where all the moments are happening. This is actually a photo take on a David Hockney pool with two humans.
Yes.
This is where it's happening. I take care of my pool. My pool is not heated, so there's a pain in creating all of it. There's a pain in creating this art because the water can be really, really cold, and it still is actually. And I need to keep the chemicals going. Here's me. Sometimes I have to wear some warm clothes.
Yeah. I love that picture. With the snorkel, that's great.
Always snorkel. I can't do it without a snorkel. So here we are.
Yep.
And it's a challenge. It's a challenge, and
So part of it involves you dunking yourself underwater.
yeah,
Well,
those are mostly self-portraits. Yeah,
that's right.
that's
So,
what we're gonna say.
so these are not, there is some manipulation involved after the fact, but you are actually,
Pretty much nothing. It's just cleaning up.
yeah, so
Cleaning
she,
up some tripod's legs, and you know, and cleaning up some just little dirty things, and that's all.
so,
Because I grew up with shooting films, so there was no Photoshop, and
Yeah.
I have to have everything set up in front of me. Everything has to be the way I want it to take
Right.
a photo. It's
Right.
not like, oh, I'm just gonna fix it later. It's not like that. It's I do Photoshop, but I don't like doing it. I think it's cheating. I want it the way it is in there.
So, I mean, as what I'm trying to tell everyone is these are as shot,
Yeah.
suffering for your art kind of pictures.
Yes,
that's
exactly. So
So,
here's, shall we show the latest mermaid?
yes, please show the latest mermaid. This is going to go up on Artsy and on Art Now Media within the next 24 hours. I think it's absolutely fabulous. And you will see why red is my favorite color.
And this is Eddie Red.
This is just a
She
gorgeous.
is a carnival party mermaid.
And I think, you know, you were saying earlier that she's, you know, this has got a nod to Edie, who is Andy Warhol's, one of his.
Eddie, yep.
So
One of his muses.
this is
So
going to be up for sale in the next little bit. And this was a fantastic surprise for me. So as somebody who loves
Just
red
came today. I was
Just came
actually shot in a very cold pool, really cold pool, because we still have like those cold fronts coming in, and my pool is not heated. It's all natural water, and God, it was so cold. I feel like I'm gonna be sick after that, and that's
so
what
again,
it
suffering for the art.
it's for the art, you know, that makes it more. And you know, if you don't, if it comes so easy,
Yes.
I wouldn't. It has, you have to
do it.
sacrifice for the art. Yeah.
So another question, you know, where this is kind of a open-ended question, and you can kind of think about it, is, you know, you just announced your new mermaid. We're premiering it tonight. Where do you think the series is headed? Do you think there's just kind of this, you know, you've done the political activism, you're doing the homage, you've done some fantastic other images that have sort of a little bit of cause related. I'm just curious. I kind of wrote this question before I saw Edie Red, so, but if you have any other comments about that.
Well, it's, you know, it's considering the audience. It can bring all the purposes in creating a new items, new photos. I know I can also say that reflecting that on my own growth, I can.
Yep.
I'm not sure what I'm gonna go with it,
Okay.
but
it's endlessly surprising.
It's developing all the time.
Yes. Can you, so this is given especially the new photograph, and this is something I love about your work. Can you talk a little bit about the use of color in your work? I think it's used as part of the communication strategy for telling a story.
I think color is very powerful. It's a very powerful tool. And it's also a tool to communicate with the viewer.
Yeah.
And to get the emotion out and make them feel things. I think the color is very, very powerful in that. If you mute the color, I think that's also the emotion get muted.
Yep. I mean, I think this is essentially it can be in a very exuberant, but also have a serious undertone, which is what I like about the series. Like, it looks fun, looks happy.
I do like color. I do.
Yeah,
I like.
You do. I mean, and it's part of
in that series, yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask, how is this work influenced by your own personal story? If I can, you know, if there's anything that you want to share about you as a person. I mean, certainly the, you know, the idea that you go all over the world shooting photographs, you're from Europe, you're coming here, you know, you are a changeling in the sense that you're just in the nature of your coming to the US, but I didn't know if there was anything else about your bio or anything that you want to share.
Well, when I come to thinking right now, well, I was born in Poland when it was still communist country. And so it was, you know, all this, we were still under the regime. And back at school, we will learn how to wear a gas mask, how to protect yourself from some kind of a chemical attack. We learn all of it. And I think that kind of an obsession with the gas mask and covering my face, I don't know. That's some kind of a psychology.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I totally get it.
But I had the moment years when I was using gas mask in my art, and I have a whole series with gas mask, and I freaking love it. I love my gas mask.
I gotcha.
I kind of quit it and then just move on, still covering the face.
Yeah.
Mermaid. But then also I grew up where my mom was a historian. She still is historian of art, and was introduced to all the kind of the history of art, Dutch painters, Dutch masters and modern painters. My favorite became surrealists and Dadaists. I was absolutely obsessed with this dreamy, crazy, surreal things that you look at it and you can just come out to your own idea of what are you looking at. And I thought that was absolutely amazing, and they still are my favorite. So I think this kind of got embedded in me, and I still like to create something and take it out of the context, put it in a new scenario. Here we are, and you make up what do you see.
I think that's really a good answer, actually. I wanted to change gears. This is actually a really great segue, but it's a slightly different, change gears a little bit. And I want to go back to Victoria Yellow and its development and your political activism, because I think we should mention it here. What you did, you and your husband did, which is such a beautiful story. So would you just relate the train story and the family from the Ukraine story?
Yes. So, I mean, before that, I made the Pride Mermaid, actually
Yep.
two of them.
Yes.
They are with Artsy and you. So I thought that just speaking a little out, I can write an essay and I can't just go with the megaphone and scream, because I can't do that. I'm not that, I'm shy. So here I just convey through my photos the message. So when the war happened last year, I got very upset and created Victoria Yellow. I got perfect message. The hands, they are for pleasure, not for violence. From there, I just moved on and created Victoria, the Chlava Ukraine, which is the Ukrainian mermaid. And all happened that we were in Ireland and we met this Ukrainian couple who were looking for a place to live. We met on a train and it really hit me. I really want to help. I don't know how, I don't know where. And then it just happened that we met these people. And from there, I created two posters. One of them is the Chlava Ukraine, the other one is right there. Stop the war. And from that, the sale of the posters, and you, Ellen, helped me a lot with creating it and making it happen. We made 500 of each they're still available, and all the proceeds were going to the family.
I will say, I will interrupt because I heard about this along the way. The family had nothing. They now have an apartment. They have jobs.
We paid for their housing for 6 months. We were able to
posters.
Yeah.
Housing for these people for 6 months. So art can really have
it can be very powerful.
And I love that you made it your own and you created your own messaging. So, you know, I still really admire you for doing that. And it is an amazing story. So now kind of going back a little bit to the Mermaid series. I was curious why you know, when you make these, you really only do one print of each, and you'll do a couple of sizes, but really you only do, you know, it's usually when you think a lot about photography, even film, you think about multiples. You only do one, and they're printed in Germany, and they come to the US, and you approve the image, and then it's sent on its way. And I was just curious if there was a reason for that.
Well, they are, you know, they are like my babies.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to just sell your babies left and right. They are just, I want them to be taken care of wherever they go. So they only one of the kind. They
Yeah.
get one print, one size.
Yep.
They are unique.
Mm.
I just don't like making a multiply. Like painters, they only have one painting and they go to another painting. I'm pretty much the same way with my photograph. I just want, and whoever gets it, I want them to feel that this is a special piece. Nobody else will have it in that size, and
No, I
that's
get.
the only copy you have.
So kind of last thing, is there anything else that you want to talk about that's come to mind that we haven't discussed yet? I have a few questions in the chat that we can go through. Thank you, everyone. But just anything else you wanted to comment? I mean, you don't have to. So if you feel like you want to say anything else that we've left out about the series.
I'm actually looking at the comments. Can we
Well, the comments are great.
follow the comments?
So I am going to read some of them.
Okay. 'Cause I see
which I think will be helpful. So please, everybody, feel free to have any comments. So Kathy Shaver said to everyone, thank you, Kathy, for your comment. There is the implication of two different worlds, the sea and the land. Does the idea of different worlds have a personal resonance? Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I love water, and I have kind of a love-hate relation with water. I love water, but I had so many different bad experiences with water. I'm also a diver.
Oh, okay.
I'm a certified diver. I love water, but it just scares me too. I've moved so many times because of water leaks. There's just a fun thing that just goes after me, water leaks all the time. I think the water, you can't really harness the water. That's what makes it quite, like, whatever happens underneath, we don't even know. We don't see it.
Yeah.
Land is more stable for me. Land is, you can actually harness it in that scenario, where the water is unpredictable.
Which is what makes these fun because you're always
too,
Yes. So Dominic asked, are you working on a new creative mermaid project right now? Well, I think you're.
We got one, but yes, I am. As soon as it get warmer, I can't get back to the pool right now. I tried.
Okay. So we're gonna.
I know I shrinked in it.
Mermaids to follow.
I will, and we will hear about it. Everybody will see it as soon. Yeah, and there's a lot of new ideas, and I'm just waiting for the weather to warm up.
I can't wait to see what happens next with the mermaids. So another question, will the mermaid ever come out of the water?
So, you know what? I was thinking about it, and I think once mermaid wakes up, that'll be it. And when her dream is over, she'll be out of the water. She's just gonna go adventure, but we don't know when.
You don't know when. So hopefully that won't happen for a little while because I love seeing the progression of these works so much. I don't know if anybody else has any other comments or questions. Feel free. You can also send, I'm wondering and would like to ask you if living on your Marco Island, such a peaceful, very peaceful place close to nature, helps you be creative and create such an incredibly interesting projects and pictures?
Oh, it's a great question. I think living in, we are very close to nature. We do, on the weekends, we go even more into nature. We go into state parks and Everglades just to be completely surrounded by nature. I think that really grounds you, and so the crazy ideas that's happening, it's balancing it very well.
Yes.
And that's what I think.
So I will say that Mila does not have a tail, you know, she does have two legs.
And I have two legs.
If you have any questions, I'm just gonna put my email in here. It's ellen@artnowmedia.com. Please send any questions or comments. People who have registered for this chat, if you're interested in buying a piece, we are pleased to offer a 10% discount today for joining and listening. And we do really appreciate your coming today. And
Merman. I just saw that.
what about a merman? Oh, okay. That could be interesting.
That will include a model.
Yep. And maybe your husband can help with that. I don't know.
Ryan, do you hear that?
All right. What about a coffee table book? Okay.
I would love that. I would love to do, that is my dream, not only with the mermaid dreams in it, but just kind of a retrospective of all kinds of photos that I've taken. But it will have to be the most epic coffee table book. Someone who knows how to do an epic photo book.
Yep. Well,
table.
we actually have discussed this in the past, so maybe at some point when we get a few more mermaids, we'll think about that and add some other things. I mean, I think this was really fascinating, sort of the genesis, and it just kind of goes to show how art can come from so many different directions and yet be so impactful to so many people. Mila's work is very popular on the Artsy platform. People love it. And I encourage you to go to artnowmedia.com and check out her work, which is just gorgeous and colorful. And it's like candy. It's like being addicted to candy, I would say. And I wanted to thank everybody for joining us this evening.
There's one more question.
One more question. I know you said only one.
What about some mini prints of all of the mermaids? Ellen, what do you think? That is a question for you. I need my art coach.
We can certainly discuss that. That's an interesting idea. So
that is a great question.
That's a great question. So maybe more to follow. So I hope, you know, if you have any suggestions or thoughts, please email me and or further questions, and I'll be happy to forward them to Mila if you don't have a direct contact with her. I'm sure her father can get in touch with her and ask her questions. And
he's still there.
And I want to thank you all so much for coming and for joining us. Oh, wait.
How's it going up in Poland? And Dominica is on the roll.
I know she is. Okay, so I was thumbing up, but now we have another great question. So
well, that's the thing. That I think when I first came in, I was quite dark with my photography and the gas mask, and I think I kind of shred it off. Shave it off.
Shed it. Yes.
Shred it. I think that my mind was, and I think when your head is in a really happy state of mind, also you create happy images. And just coming from Poland, I still had embedded all the memories of being and living in communism. Because when I left, it was just fresh of democracy. And I think that's what kind of influenced all the dark apocalyptic scenarios that I had in my photos. And then it evolved into more colorful, surreal fun. And I think I'm just gonna keep going that way.
I think it will go where it needs to go.
I know, like I can't control it.
I think that's one of the fun things about this is that, you know, as much as Mila tries sometimes to harness some other stuff come in.
I know, yeah.
Now,
it's just not working.
I think is what makes the photography fresh and interesting. So even though certain parameters of the Mermaid Dream series are same, there's just endless permutations, endless variety. And I love that about the work, because you just can see the growth of different things that she's doing with it. So again, any other questions before we leave this evening?
Leslie,
Yes,
thank
Mila
you.
is amazing, and I'm
Thank
glad.
you guys so much.
Thank
I
you
just
so
want to say,
much.
I was just want to say thank you for joining in. Thank you, Sue, Leslie, Dominica. We have Kathleen. Thank you so much.
This was really fun, and thank you so much for coming. And please, again, send any questions or thoughts, and we'll have that new image up on Artsy shortly. So have a good evening, and thank you again. Bye, everyone.